And why do you think this partnership between Cashfree and YBL is relevant at this point of time?
I'm so sorry. So thanks, Manan, and thanks, Riju, for having us here, and very, very happy, to be part of this one unique launch actually, and to set the context, right, as to why launching this product was actually very important. So, if we see global macro, India has been one of the very few markets, that has seen exports growing despite, what we are now, witnessing as a global economic slowdown. By official statistics, we see that exports could actually go up to around $770 billion, which is a 13% year-on-year growth, this year. Within this, services that actually has seen a very good number growth, almost 27% at around 330 billion odd dollars. And the government, of course, is very, very focused on growing exports. There are various enablers which the government is building as part of the trade policy, and manufacturing. Of course, services continues to do well, but the government does intend to also boost manufacturing with the exports. Within all of this, one of the key sectors which the government really wants to promote for exports is the MSME sector, and they've always been very critical to the government's aim of reaching a $5 trillion economy. Currently, there is probably a number of around 60 odd billion MSMEs, who contribute to 30% of GDP. And this sector actually contributes close to 50%, of exports. And this number has grown almost 37% year on year. The estimate says that by 2028, MSME exports should cross close to $1 trillion, which is a significant number by any statistics, right? Secondly, the gig economy in the country is also growing at a very large pace. And there's a reason I'm, giving all these numbers. This again, close to around 8 million gig workers contribute to, or will go to around 23 million by 2030, what the estimate is. And a large part of growth in this gig economy is actually expected to come from platform workers. And this is, centered around the software apps, digital platforms. And this really is what is going to give phenomenal growth in terms of the overall exports which the country is going to experience. The reason I gave both these numbers is because the product that we are going to launch today, the Global Collections product, is actually aimed to bring a lot of benefits into these two sectors. And that's the reason I'm very excited about this launch. That's the reason why Yes Bank and Cashfree have entered into this partnership. While of course we are not equity investor, early equity investor, and Cashfree our parent is, but we are early thought leadership and a tech investor in Yes Bank. So the partnership between Yes Bank and Cashfree, goes almost inception 2017. It's almost close to 6+ years now. And from the very nascent days, it's a partnership that we are very happy and proud of, and that was one of the reasons why we chose that Cashfree and Yes Bank will actually partner to launch this very critical product, which is again aimed to bring ease of doing business to a critical sector and a critical focus for the country. So that's really one of the reasons why Yes Bank and Cashfree have co-created this product, and we believe that with the launch, it should bring in a delightful experience with the complete transparency at every stage of transaction, to our exporter customers. So really look forward to seeing this product getting launched and then achieve success.
Awesome. Thanks for your input, Sajay. And I think very well put. India overall, in terms of exporting business from India, has touched new milestones. Like you also mentioned, we've crossed the mark of $700 billion for merchandise as well as service exports. So on same lines, question for Riju, right? So I think Ajay also broadly covered various cohorts of exporters, which is your merchandise exporters, service exporters, as well as the gig economy, right? As per you, what are the challenges in terms of both operational and compliance for accepting payments into India? and how some of these aspects of this partnership can help these exporters solve for that.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Malay. Yeah, so I think as with any kind of cross-border payment, right, the challenges lie around the cost of payments, the speed of transfer, right, or even the transparency around that, and the compliance and documentation that is associated with it, right. So the good part, at least for export payments, is that like India wants to make exports easier, right? We want more exports. We want more forex earnings, right? And that reflects, in the policies, right? So exports, there are, exemptions and benefits for both income tax and GST, right, for exporters. So that's a strong indicator, right? How the government is pushing, as Rajan mentioned. Uh, uh, for like starting with, let's say, like the cost, I think one of the major problems that exist, especially even for B2B payments, right, because they tend to be more high value relatively, right, is like the wire transfer fee. Like it's a fixed fee, right? And then if you're paying like something like $50, $30 for a $1,000 to $2,000 wire transfer, that tends to be a very high percentage, right, and not very sustainable. So how can we, try to reduce this cost is probably like one of the things that kind of plays on our head. Can you aggregate these funds? Can you pool these funds and, reduce the cost? Of course, there is the FX that is involved. Can you again pass on the bulk FX discounts on to the exporters who are, doing the payments? Can you enable, access in terms of, local payment methods, right? Reach in various countries. Right. And I think Vivek, Malay, and you guys can obviously, talk more about this. Right. Like how are you kind of making the reach, more accessible? How are you making it more global? Because the need of the hour is Indian exporters want to sell globally. They want to access all the countries that are there. They want to accept payments in multiple currencies. And then there is the speed of transfer, like, I mean, can you make it like 1 day, 2 day, right? Like that's what we want, right? And I think we've been successful doing that, right? Right now, I think we take around 1 day plus like half a day, maybe, whatever is the speed turnaround time of the local payment method, right? So it's a maximum of 2 days that we're taking to credit, right? And in 1 day, in most cases, that we're able to process these payments. And lastly, it's the compliance related, right? Like, can you how can we make it easier for the exporter to sign up in a compliant fashion and also claim the benefits that are there, available for them as exporters, right? So those are some of the problems, and I think the product addresses those very well, for goods and services exporters, that are there.
Absolutely. So I think fair enough, and I fully agree to your inputs, Riju. And the way I see it, I think I call them 3 Cs or 3 challenges, which is cost, coverage, and compliance, FIRS. So I think on those lines, maybe Vivek and I can take a stab at covering a bunch of these pain points at a broader level, and also deep dive into how this solution can help us help exporters solve some of these areas, right? So Maruti, if you could project the presentation, and we can look at these pain points and our solution. In the meantime, for all the attendees, please feel free to post in your questions in the Q&A chat box. We'll be happy to address these questions towards the end. Thank you so much. Yeah, we can move ahead, Maruti. Awesome. So I think based on what Riju also summarized, and the 3 Cs that I was talking about, higher cost, coverage on currencies and countries that can be supported, and lastly, the biggest pie, which is the compliance and FIRA issuance problems, right? So I think it's very evident that the cost for receiving payments of traditional SWIFT or some of the popular third-party payments are pretty expensive. Also, the timelines of settlement could be very high. This internally impacts cash flow at the exporters indirectly, right? Coverage, I think based on the individual bank's capacity or the platform's capacity, there could be a limitation on the number of currencies that exporters can accept payments in, or the countries from which they can receive their payments. And finally, I think from my experience, and I've been in the cross-border domain for a while, I think there are solution providers who take forever to issue FIRS, right? Sometimes even the smaller banks make exporters run from pillar to post to get this piece of document, right? So FIRA issuance also is a challenge out there in the market. We can move to the next slide, Maruti. And this is exactly where the a partnership between cash-free payments and Yes Bank for global collections come into picture. Yeah, we can move to the next slide. This is my favorite slide. I think 6 benefits and features which kind of resolves all the pain points that we've been talking about so far. In terms of cost, I think we can our solution can help save up to easily 40 to 50% on the payments which are coming into India for these exporters. In terms of coverage, we are sorted. We are able to support payments in more than 30 plus currencies from 100 plus countries. The next one is also kind of very favorable for the payer, which also is the important stakeholder in the entire cycle of payment, where we are able to enable payers to make payments through their local rails like ACH, SEPA, FPS, right? So these are NEFT equivalent rails in US, Europe, and UK respectively. Here the cost because traditional Swift wire would have a component of variable as well as fixed fee. A lot of these components will either become negligible or zero if we allow payers to initiate payments to the local rails, right? While the settlement still at one hand you have your payers who will initiate the payments for local rates, and on the other hand we'll be able to convert the incoming FCY into INR and make settlements in INR directly for the exporter. There's a really amazing cash fee dashboard which will make your life easy from a transaction tracking perspective and recon perspective. I think through our dashboard, exporters will be able to track their payments on a real-time basis. Plus, there is a recon facility and filters available to recon based on date, currency type, and remitter names, right? And lastly, I think one area which I'm also pretty proud of working with Yes Bank on is automatic issuance of FIRS, and we've kind of hit a timeline of only one business day based. So, for example, if today the exporter gets a payment in IRA, next business day they'll also have the copy of FIRS available with them. Yeah, we can move to the next slide. I think this is just an example of how you can share your cash-free global collection details with your exporter. I mean, exporters may already be used to sending out invoices over WhatsApp, email, SMS, etc. All they have to do is just use the same kind of invoice, add their payment collection details, which is offered by cash-free, and send across to their payers for making a payment. So I think everything changes for the better. The payment experience also gets much better. Yeah, we can move on. I think here I'd ask my dear friend Vivek to jump in and maybe cover this slide on the OPGSP expertise.
Sure. Thank you, Malay. I think before I step into the nuances of the slide, what this product really does, I feel, is it puts control right back into the hands of those exporters, the small exporters who are hitherto not having that kind of transparency or the kind of control or the kind of confidence in the underlying transactions that are happening, which is so important to their day-to-day functioning. And this is a great juxtaposition of the regulator coming up with a very proactive guideline, and fintech like Cashtag taking the initiative and creating a product which absolutely hits the nail on the head as far as the pain points which exporters face. And from a bank's perspective, it also speaks about the ability to take the underlying APIs of the functionalities required to ensure these instant credits and so on and so forth, and putting it all together in a manner by which, as I said, it completely puts the control back into the hands of the exporter. So if you want to just go through some of the key salient points which any which ways Malay has spoken about, but I would like to emphasize on is the dashboard itself. Right now, the dashboard is a simple enough word to say, but the functionalities it makes available, the data which it makes available through the APIs enabled by Yes Bank and other parties overseas as well, is the flexibility and the convenience that the exporter has in terms of seeing transactional level details, looking at delays, looking at nuances, being able to estimate his own working capital in accordance to the receipts that he is receiving. And I would like to believe that once this pain point is out of his mind, he can really focus on what his core competence is, which is either focusing on the product or the service that he's exporting or the need that he's into, the freelance that he is doing in, right? So it allows him to free his mind from the mundane activities of the payment receipt and focusing on expanding his own footprint in the landscape. And I think to that extent, this is a very, very great initiative and an enabler for that. For Yes Bank customers, it gives an added advantage that you can very, very quickly get onboarded onto the product by just submitting a few very simple details like IC, give your company GST, company PAN, and with that digitally you get yourself onboarded really, really quickly. And by virtue of having an account with Yes Bank, not only do the funds get credited instantly, and the traceability of which is available to the dashboard, which we just mentioned about, it also enables the EFIRA to be sent to him as soon as the transaction is done as well. So all of these put together, it completes the gamut of things for which he would have otherwise spent a significant portion of his day figuring this piece out, whereas he would have been better off focusing on his business. So this really are a set of great enablers which we have put together. Malay already has spoken about the number of currencies that is supported in this, and the real-time availability of information and so on and so forth. But I think the real focus, the real benefit which it brings to the table is the ability to help the exporter focus on his core competency rather than worry about the receipt of money. So one additional thing from a Yes Bank perspective, which I would like to emphasize on, is that it focuses really, it juxtaposes really well with our own Yes Connect or our marketplace strategy, because this is going to be one of the core offerings that is going to be available to our SME exporters on the Yes Connect platform. So they would be able to browse through the benefits of this product and onboard themselves really quickly through Yes Connect. And once they do so, because they already have an account with us, the credits are extremely simple. And then in addition to this OPGSP solution, they also have right side by side additional functionalities which an exporter might require, like for instance, wherever applicable, custom duty payments, EFC to INR conversions, and so on and so forth. Niche solutions which an exporter very specifically requires. This product, Global Elections, provides a very vital cog into the overall exporters hub also that's being created. And I think it's a brilliant collaborative product which is made available to the exporter. Back to you, Malay. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Vivek, for sharing your inputs and thought process on how effectively we can use OPGSP. We can now move to the Q&A section. I think, Maruti, before you are able to consolidate, there are a couple of questions on, I think, more details, comparative. We'd be happy to reach out to all of them over a follow-up call or a detail call. In case people want to understand how the rates are better compared to other players. And I also see a couple of questions on what is the rate. Our standard rate is 1%. And obviously, happy to discuss it based on the kind of volumes or transaction that we can expect from a particular merchant. So I think there are also questions on people trying to understand the rails and the suppliers that we follow. I hope you will acknowledge and appreciate the fact that we've put in significant effort to build the solution. So we'll be more than happy to get on a detailed call with you guys to talk more about the kind of suppliers that we use. We won't be able to share that openly over this call.
I think we have answered, we have been answering a few questions. So, I mean, do you want to maybe discuss any of them? I think there are a few questions around, right? Like how does this compare with, solutions like PayPal, right? Maybe, and also, right, like the KYC and onboarding process, right? Maybe we can throw some light on that.
Sure. I think in terms of if you have to compare this with a solution like PayPal, overall, I think in terms of fees, PayPal charges into components. One is fixed or operation fees, and second is variable fee on FX, which kind of takes the solution anywhere between 6 to 9%. So compared to that, our cost would be 1/6 of what these players would be charging. On KYC, obviously, there are two aspects of onboarding. One is where the solution is also open to Yes Bank customers. Since they have done their full KYC, the onboarding timelines for these customers would be relatively faster. Anybody who's not using a Yes Bank account holder, obviously will have to go through a full KYC check with us. Typically, the KYC is done on the business as well as the UBOs from online. So we'd like to be 100% compliant while we offer the best solution and the best rates.
Right. I think, yeah, and maybe there is an email address. Like these questions will be there after we log out. Like, how do we handle?
I think Maruti, there should be a way for us to export these questions, right?
So we'll be sending a follow-up email to all the attendees who asked questions specific to their requirements.
Mhm.
We'll be opening all these questions and answering them over an email after this.
Yeah, I think that's fine. But can we'll have access to these questions also, right?
We'll be publishing this as FAQs in our portals as well, in our website as well, so that all of these, whatever are common and general, we'll try to address it to the larger audience.
Sure. And one quick call out. I think there are also a couple of questions on if this is open to sole props, freelancers. Short answer, yes. And as Ajay also covered in the beginning, this product also suits the gig economy. So we are open to settling payments into a current account or a savings account as long as there is a trade involved.
There are a couple of questions on both Yes Bank and Cash Free. Can I post it so that both of you can address it?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
There is one question that should have come up. The first question is, what is the timeline for FIRC? What is the settlement timeline? Do you allow USD settlements?
Okay, so timeline for FIRC. Okay, so small technicality. What we issue is EFIRA, which is Electronic Foreign Inward Remittance Advice, right? And the timeline for us to issue that is 1 business day from the time the payment is credited in INR into the exporter's bank account in India. That's number one. Settlement timeline, I think for the entire payment cycle, right from collecting payments from US, Europe, or wherever the payer is making a payment from, it could range from T+1 or T+2, right? So that's the timeline that we have. USD settlements in India right now, no, but we are working on this functionality in the future and it might open up.
Got it. Thank you. The next question is, what will be the charges for currency conversion? Will it be fixed or dynamic for each transaction?
Sure. So we don't have any fixed cost or any hidden fees, right? So if let's say we are charging 1%, that's the fee that we charge. So now 1% could be evaluated on the volume throughput, or it could be 1% on the FX rate. The FX benchmark that we use is Reuters. So that's it. When we say 1%, it's 1% on the FX rate that you can see on Reuters.
Thank you.
Sure.
One rest of it we want to hear, more or less.
Got it.
So that brings us to the end of this webinar.
Sure. Then there are no more questions. We can call it a wrap.
Yeah. So just to sort of round up, right, if it's not too much to sort of intervene, that all the other questions that are very specific to their use cases will be dropping an email as a follow-up to all of these, attendees. And anything related to the product, we'll compile all those questions and publish them as FAQs, so that anyone who's coming in can also sort of look at those questions and get a better understanding.
And maybe an added point also that I think there was a question on, how we are covering a lot of currencies, right? I think, so yeah, basically I think 4 countries there are, which are the large ones. I think US, Canada, UK, Europe. I think we have the local rail set up.
That's correct.
Or other countries, there is a swift transfer that happens. And in addition to that, I think, you can also connect, card processing, and if you have a PayPal account, you can also connect that to the same account. So that also gives additional reach, and that can be offered as a payment method. So that probably answers this question about a lot of currencies, how we're supporting that. Cool. Yeah, I think that was one point. Cool.
Got it. Cool. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining. And thanks, Riju, Vivek, and Najay, to be a part of this session. Looking forward to scale this solution. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.